PTE Help. Test 6. Retell lecture, and summarize spoken text. Lecture 1.
It is very important to take statistics seriously in order to be able to come to meaningful conclusions. For me, it is even more important to take statistics seriously because I am interested in understanding the effects of globalization and understanding the effects of international trade. So I, as a researcher and economist, am especially interested in the question, what does international trade bring to people around the world? And does international trade benefit people around the world? Especially, does international trade benefit poor people in developing countries? If you ask an economist this question, he would most likely tell you, there must be some benefits to international trade, to a country as a whole. But he would also tell you that some people are going to gain more, others gain less, and others even lose from it. Basic economic theories predict that especially those people are going to gain from globalization who own something which is more precious globally than it is locally. So in a high-income country, these are going to be capitalists, high-skilled workers, who are going to be the main beneficiaries from trade. In a low-income country, these are going to be low-skilled workers, who are locally plenty, but globally relatively scarcer. This simple economic argument lies at the bottom of the expectation by many economists that the poor should actually benefit from international trade around the world. But whether this really happens and whether this really occurs, it is an empirical question.
PTE Help, Sample 86 plus Score Sample Response. The lecture basically focuses on the international trade. Firstly, it is still an empirical question that, whether poor people reap the benefits of the international trade, or not. To estimate this, it is very essential to consider the statistical analysis carefully. It tells us that, what it brings, and how it is beneficial to poor, in developing nations. According to the economists, only those people gain advantage, who own something, which is precious globally than locally, such as capitalists and high-skilled workforce. PTE Help. Test 6. Retell lecture, and summarize spoken text. Lecture 2.
Plant stem cells actually matter, and the final product of these actually matters a lot. And so this became a little bit famous or infamous about 10 years ago, where it was argued that stomata are the most influential cell type on the planet. And you might argue that human brain cells are a fairly influential cell type, but we can't live without these, and plants can probably live without our brain cells. So this is probably one of the most influential cells on the planet because of its function, because of this function in taking in carbon dioxide and releasing water vapor. And so this was not to be outdone 10 years ago. Now it is not only arguably the most influential cell on the planet, but at the center of a crisis in water availability and crop production that we expect to see over the next few decades. All right, so just a reminder of why we care about these. So this is that portal from which carbon dioxide enters from the atmosphere into the plant. It gets fixed into sugars. We eat that. Water vapor and oxygen come out. So plants absolutely are dependent on this. It helps them get the carbon dioxide. It also helps them bring water. So plants don't have a vascular system. They can't pump things around. They actually have to evapotranspirate. So water is in the soil, comes up through the plant, and by evaporating at the top, that brings the water up. It also helps to keep the plant cool.
PT Help, Sample 86 plus scores response. The lecture is based on the most important cell types on this planet, which is the plant stem cell. It is argued that whether the human brain cells are more relevant, or the plant stem cells. However, because of its wonderful functions, like inhaling carbon dioxide, and releasing water vapors, stoma 2 is the most influential cell type in the world, which is also somehow concerned with water availability and crop production. Plants also don't have vascular system, therefore stoma 2 keeps the plant cool and fresh, maintaining evaporation.
PTE Help. Test 6. Retell lecture, and summarize spoken text. Lecture 3.
Look at the world today. I see beauty. I actually see a world that is made up of so many colors, so many dreams, so many inspirations, and I feel like my job is to evangelize my experience so that we can have a better world of diversity and globalization. Globalization makes things more complex, but we have to embrace it because it's real. So to understand diversity is to understand the complexities of human intelligence and global consumer behavior. If we want to understand how the world works, we have to embrace diversity even in our own country. In fact, I believe that the United States is positioned so well to actually not only dominate globally as we are, but even more so because we are a melting pot. We can actually focus group test here. We have the Vietnamese community, we have the Hispanic community. We have it right here, so we could test it here before we actually launch into different markets. It's a great place to be. We're at the center.
PTE Help, Sample 86 plus scores response. The lecture focuses on the topic of globalization and diversity. The world is made up of so much dreams, inspirations, backgrounds and colors. According to the speaker, globalization actually makes things more complex, but it is undeniable that we have to embrace the diversity and various opinions caused by it. Finally, it can be understood by human intelligence, and understanding the behavior as well. For example, US is great place to understand it properly, as it positions itself dominantly, and focuses on group tasks among diverse communities.